Hi, my name is Laura and I'm a SWDTP doctoral researcher in the AQM pathway at the University of Exeter. And this presentation is part of the SWDTP training resources on the use of secondary datasets and research. Hopefully I can offer some insight into opportunities of and tips for working with secondary data based on my own research, which is on judicial training. I use two datasets. One is the Upper Tribunal Immigration and Asylum Chamber Decisions database, which I use to build my own dataset for analysis. And I also look at tribunal statistics, which is official statistics of tribunals used to contextualize and checking my own results. So in the next couple of minutes, I will be presenting those datasets, give you an idea of what you can do with the data, and offer my top 3 tips for working with secondary data. So the first dataset is one that I compiled myself from the online database of Upper Tribunal Immigration and Asylum Chamber Decisions, short UTIC. This is a publicly available online database which consists of HTML case summaries and decision files in Word or PDF formats. I used Python programming to automatically download those files and to extract metadata from HTML case summaries and from plain text, which I extracted from the Word documents. And I combined all of these into a database for further analysis. Now, the aim of this is to provide an opportunity to describe the UTIC decisions over time and to analyze the text of the decisions, which in my project is with a particular focus on the outcomes of appeal decisions and whether the first instance judicial decision was upheld or overturned. The second dataset I use is official statistics about a range of courts and tribunals outcomes provided by the Tribunal Statistics Service. This is a quarterly publication available on gov.uk, and you can see a snapshot on the left. This gives an overview of tribunals' work, for example, in terms of caseload or appeal outcomes, and is available both as a curated summary report in HTML and as detailed tables for download in open document format. And I use this dataset, or these datasets really, to validate the descriptive results from my own database and to contextualize the research. To give you an idea of what those datasets can be used for, this slide shows on the left a distribution of the number of decisions over time as they are in the dataset that I compiled. And on the right, you see an evaluation of a machine learning model that's a supervised learning model which seeks to classify decisions as to whether they find an error of law or whether they do not find an error of law, which is one of the focuses of my research. So this really goes to show as well that if you prepare your data appropriately, you can apply a range of analysis methods depending on the aims of your own research. So what are my top 3 tips having worked with these types of data and my tips for working with secondary data? They evolve around time, validation, and ethics. My first tip is to really plan enough time for working with secondary data. You'll need time to pre-process and prepare your data. You might want to check for errors or inconsistency in the dataset itself, and that will be important even if it's a dataset that's already been prepared for research purposes. You might want to take time to familiarize yourself with the data and explore it. And you might want to prepare it in such a way that it will be fit for the purposes of the analyses you are intending to run with the data. Secondly, I suggest you engage in validation. This could be to cross-reference your dataset with other datasets. So like in my case, looking at the outcomes I would extract from the UTIC database and comparing that with the data in the tribunal statistics. But when you do that, you want to ensure that the things you're validating are actually comparable. So do the same labels mean the same things? Are constructs measured in the same way, and are they comparable? You might also want to check out related work that has used the datasets you're using and that might have asked similar questions or have produced similar or different results, and engage with those other research works. Last but by no means least, I suggest you consider ethics and check and comply with any copyright and or licensing requirements that are related to your datasets. In my case, for example, I had to check that scraping activity and machine learning applications were tolerated for those types of data. Another consideration could be around personal data, how to deal with that, how to deal with anonymity requirements. And this would also then link to any publication of data sets that you might want to engage in after you've compiled all the data and done your analyses. Now, the last slide just has a couple of links which I hope you find useful. It's to both the datasets that I'm using and some links to licensing information. And with that, I just wish you lots of fun and enjoy exploring your datasets.